right, so we'll just add a new item. This is going to be Master Chief's helmet. The price is going to be $100,000, which is still probably underpriced. This is Chief's helmet. All right, so when we create the item, you'll see it gives us this nice little pop-up. Let's go ahead and choose a photo. I've got a photo right here. Okay, so we'll create the item image. Oh, it's not nice. It puts it down here, and we can even delete it if we want to. So let's choose another one. Awesome. Let's choose another one. Wait, which one are we on? Oh yeah, this one. Okay. Upload, and you could change this to upload, right? Like that's probably a better thing to put in the field there, but just upload all these images. Cool, nice. But this is cool. So we've got our image here and we've got our little arrow here. So if I click on this, it's going to cycle through these images for me, and let me see the images. Hey everybody, sorry for the lengthy delay in getting another video out, but I hope this one will be worth it to you. That said, it may become quickly rendered obsolete if the carousel component comes out anytime soon. And if it does, I'm sorry, but hopefully this will, kind of at least expand your horizons as to what's possible with Adalo. So to get started, this may be a kind of a lengthy video, but we will get through it. What we're going to talk about is let's look at how to create a list with dynamic images where you can add images and then also like cycle through them on a view page, right? Like an image carousel. So you can tap on either side of the arrow and it will kind of cycle through the images one by one, right? That's kind of the end goal here. And it's a little bit complicated. It has to, from the very get-go, when you're adding images, it needs to be set up correctly. So this is a kind of the main workflow for making that happen. So that said, in these, let me go ahead and just delete this collection. So in this, let's say that you've got some items that you're selling, right? And in this collection, you have an image for that item. Well, that's cool, but most people expect to have multiple images. And the bad thing is that you can't create a carousel. You could create multiple image properties down through here, but that doesn't really let you cycle through them, right? You'd have to have another collection of images that's as a list, which is actually kind of the process that we're going to use to make that happen. So I actually already have an item in here to sell. It's in honor of Halo 6 coming out this week, or being revealed this week. It's Master Chief's helmet. Its price is vastly on sale, in my opinion. This is Master Chief's helmet. Okay, so we've got an item in there. To make this work, what we need is a collection of item images that is actually tied to an image that has a relationship to an item. So we obviously need to have an image property here, right? So this is just the image. And we need to have a relationship to the item that it belongs to. So an item can have multiple item images, but an item image belongs to one item. All right, and that's fine. We can just leave it as item. And then what we need here is we actually need to have a number field called the image number. And this will make sense in just a second, but let's go ahead and add. So now that we've got this kind of filled out here, let's go ahead and add a screen where we can add an item. So I'm just going to add a screen here. I think it's, we'll just do a blank one. Right. So we've got our add item screen. I'll just move this over a little bit, and I'm just going to add like a form component to it. So let's go over here. We'll grab a form component and just kind of click and drag this in here. And this is going to be for the items. We're creating an item here. And again, I'm just trying to go through this quickly. You can make this, prettier. But I do want it to create a new item. The fields, let's see, I don't need this one. I don't even need the image one really. So we kind of just need these 3 fields here. And then maybe when the user submits it, I want it to pop up a modal that lets them add pictures to that item. So let's go ahead over here and we'll add a screen. Go down to miscellaneous and we'll add a modal screen here. Call this add images. And what we're going to do is we'll link to this, right? Let's go ahead and delete all this stuff here because we don't really need this. I'm actually going to ungroup this so that we can work with it a little bit easier. Just expand this out a little bit. All right, so I'm going to add actually another form to this screen. And this form here, let me zoom in so it's a little bit easier to see. This form is actually going to create the images or add the images for us. So this is going to be the item images. And the name, actually, I don't even really need the name. That's just going to sit kind of empty. And I don't even need the image number really. We're going to add that as an automatic field down here. So let's go over here and on this submit after they create the item, let's go ahead and have it send them to this add images screen. So let's link it to add images. The transition is going to be a modal, of course. All right, so we've got our link there, and what I'm going to do is set an automatic field here so that the item is going to be the current item. Okay, and another automatic field is going to be the image number. So what I want this to do is I want it to count how many images are already associated with this item and then add one to it. So to do that, we're going to do the current item images count, and then we're going to add 1. Right. So if this item doesn't have any images attached to it, it's going to set the image number as 0 plus 1, which is 1. Right. So if I've already added 3 images, it's going to set the image number for this new image as 3 plus 1, which is 4. And it's going to increment those image numbers for us as we create these images. Okay. So that's how that works. And then let's go ahead and add. We'll add like a done button here, maybe. And this is just going to be like a button so that when they're finished adding images, they can move on to the next screen, right? So what we're going to do is we'll just link this back to the home screen. And again, you can build out more functionality here, but this is kind of the main way to do it. I don't want to have a link action on this submit button because I want them to be able to stay on this page as they submit images, and maybe so that the person knows that their images are going through. Let's add just a simple card list, or I'm sorry, an image list down here. And what we can do with this is we can actually have it display the images that are being added in real time, right? So this can be the item images. And instead of all item images, it's just going to be the ones for the current item here. And the sorting is going to be created date, oldest to newest. And there is no maximum here of items. You can set one if you want to. I'm going to auto refresh this list so that as they add items, they appear here in the list. All right. This is correct. All right. So the title, I'm going to turn off the title because I don't need it. And the icon, let's make this like a clear icon, right? So that they can delete the picture if they want to. And we'll just add a action to that to delete the current item image. All right. And then maybe these are kind of still too big, so let's go and make this like maybe 3 columns. Yeah, I think that looks better. All right, so we've got that. And so we've got our method for adding an item and then adding images for that item. And we've got our done button, which then links us back to the main screen. So let's go ahead and build out this main screen here. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to create a list within a list, all right? And we need to use a custom list to do this. So I'm just going to create a custom list here. I'll zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to make this actually 2 columns, I think, but you can make this whatever you want. I feel like Bob Ross right now, like whatever you want to do. Okay, we'll shorten this up, and this rectangle, this initial rectangle is too wide, so I'll just bring this down. We'll bring this down. All right. And let's go ahead and change this text before I forget. Or actually, we need to set this list type here. So this is a list of items, and it is all items, but you can filter it if you need to. And the text here is going to be the current item's name. And maybe this is like the current item's like price or something. Current item price. Cool. So now what we need to do is we need to, of course, have an image here, right? So let's drag an image here. But remember, this is static. So if we just add one image, you know, it's difficult to tell the user, okay, I need you to upload an image for this view, and then I also need you to upload images for the carousel. So what we want to do is we want to make this a list of the images that are showing up over here, but we only want to show the first one, right? So that's not terribly hard to do. We can just go up here to this ellipsis icon, or whatever you want to call it, and choose this make list option. And if we shorten this up just a little bit, this is going to be a list of item images, except we only want to see the ones for this particular item in this cell. So we'll do the current items images. And let's not forget to go ahead and set the source of the image now that we have the list type, and that's going to be the current item images image. A little bit confusing there, but hopefully that makes sense. And then what we can do on this actual image list itself is we're going to sort it from image number low to high, and we're going to set the maximum number of items to 1 so that we only see the first image here. And what I like to do is I'm also going to make it so that this image is not cropped as well. All right. So let's go ahead and set a click action for this list as well. So when a user clicks or taps on one of these tiles, I want it to take them to this view item screen over here. So on this list action, let's just add one here that links to the view item screen. There we go. All right, and let's go ahead and build this out as well. So the first thing that we're going to do to make this work, to make our image carousel is, and it seems a little unorthodox, but we're actually going to add a form input here. The very first thing that we're going to add. All right, and then we're going to grab an image and drag this image over the top of that and kind of hide it. We're going to hide that form input back there. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to make this very similar to what we did on the home screen. Is we're going to make this into a list. So we'll make this a list, and it is a list of item images. It is the current items images, and what we're going to do is we're going to make the image number of this image match whatever is in that input back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another filter here, and I'm going to say I only want to see the images where the image number is equal to whatever is in that input. Okay, remember that input that we just dropped in? And what I want to do is, if I click on this label, this screen label here, and click on that text input that's back there, we're going to set the default value of that to 1. so that when the user jumps on this page, it sets the default value to 1, and we're viewing image 1 here, right? Because this image is set to be whatever is in that field. All right, so before we forget, let's go ahead and set the image source inside the list itself as well to be the current item images image. A little bit confusing there, but that's how that works. And so we've got that. Let's go ahead and sort this as well. So let's, or actually, we don't need sorting on this list actually, because we want it to equal whatever this is. The maximum number of items, though, is going to be 1, because we only want to see 1 item here. All right, so that's it for that. Let's go ahead and add some buttons here, because we want to be able to cycle, between the two. We want to cycle through the images. So let's go ahead and make this an arrow. And we'll make this one, I'm just clicking and dragging Alt. So I'm clicking on Alt or the Option key on a Mac and clicking and dragging to create a duplicate. And this is an arrow to the right. Okay, that looks good. And actually, before I forget, let me make sure that I set this to not crop the image, because I want to see like the entire image here. All right, so I've got our buttons there. What we need to do now is we're actually going to do the exact same thing. We're going to put a list within a list. We're going to make these buttons a list of item images. So if I go up here, we're going to make this a list, and this will make sense in a second. But this is going to be a list of item images, and it's only going to be the it's only going to be the current item images. The sorting is what we're going to do is I only want to see the images in this list that are less than this, whatever this main image is that we're looking at. So if we're looking at image 3, I only want to show image 2 here. If we're looking at image 18, I only want to show image 17, right? So it seems like you would say, oh, well, I'll sort it from low to high. But if you do that, it's going to show the lowest number first, rather than the one that is the next below whatever is showing. So we're actually going to do image number high to low, and the maximum number of items here is going to be 1, right? And you can make this, if you wanted to zoom in and make this pretty, you can do that as well. Okay, so that's kind of how that's going to be set up there. And then what we want to do is, while we're on this list, we're going to actually set an action for this button here. And the action is going to be to change the input value. So if you go to more, change the input value, we're going to change what that input is back behind our main image. So this is the input here, and we're going to set the value of it to be whatever this image's image number is. And you can play around with it. I've found most often that it's actually this second one right here, but if for some reason it's not behaving the way that you think it should, you just want to go in and maybe try the other one, because it does get a little bit confusing here. I'm going to choose the second one, current item image number. So if I'm viewing image 3 and this is image 2, when I click on it, I then want you to set the form input back here to say 2. And because this image is supposed to equal whatever is in the form input, this image is going to change, right? So that's how that's going to work. Let's see. Actually, we need to make one adjustment here. So we're going to add another filter here. I only want to see instead of the, all of the image items, I only want to see the one where the image number is less than this one, right? So where it's less than, instead of saying this image, we're just going to say the input, right? Because if this is image 3, and the input back here is image says 3 as well, then we need to show image 2 here, right? So I want to see the ones where they are less than that input back there. And so the opposite is going to be true. We're going to set up this other button the exact same way, except it's going to be the opposite of this one. It's going to be greater than. So we're going to make this button a list as well. It's a list of item images. It's going to be the current item, and instead we're going to do only where the image number is greater than whatever is in the form input back there. All right. What we're going to do is we're actually going to sort this one the opposite way. So this one will actually be low to high. All right. The maximum number of items is going to be 1. And we're also going to set the action for this button to be change the input value. So that input that's back there, we're going to change this one to be whatever this item's number is. So the current item image number. All right. So let me just delete the test kind of record that I have in here for Master Chief so that we can re-add it. There we go. And let's give this a preview and see what happens. May have to go back in and make some adjustments here. I've already got to log in. All right, so we don't have any images here, so there's nothing showing, but if we go here, I don't think I'll link that button. Yeah, I knew something weird would happen that I'd forget. Let's go ahead and link this button here. Don't you love it? Stuff like this happens all the time. So that we're gonna link this to add item. There we go. Awesome. Now we should be good to go. All right, so we'll just add a new item. This is going to be Master Chief's helmet. The price is going to be $100,000, which is still probably underpriced. This is Chief's helmet. All right, so when we create the item, you'll see it gives us this nice little pop-up. Let's go ahead and choose a photo. I've got a photo right here. Okay, so we'll create the item image. Oh, nice. It puts it down here and we can even delete it if we want to. So let's choose another one. Awesome. Let's choose another one. Wait, which one are we on? Oh yeah, this one, okay. Upload, and you could change this to upload, right? Like that's probably a better thing to put in the field there, but just upload all these images. Cool, nice. So once we're done, we'll just click done here and we should see Master Chief's helmet. Nice. So when we click on this, you'll see, and you can make that form input. You'll notice it says, it shows up back there. But what you can actually do is you can make that white, make the border and the text white so that it doesn't show up. I've tried invisibility, like if you just change the opacity of it, but you get some weird, like funky UI things that go on that way. So I've found that it's better to just make it match the background. But this is cool. So we've got our image here and we've got our little arrow here. So if I click on this, it's going to cycle through these images for me. And let me see the images, which is pretty awesome. And you can see that the form input is changing each time I click on these arrows that are in this list here. All right, so that was a long one, but I hope that this is helpful for you. Again, I would go back in and make the border for this white, the background white, and the text white to make sure that this input doesn't show up. And that's how you create a carousel for your items, for your images.